Welcome back to the PAFA wire wrapping channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this design, and we're going to do it on the same type of stone, but it's a little more green and white. The ones I'm using for examples are sort of orange and white, which is typical of this particular type of stone, which is called a Unakite. It's often green and red or green and orange, but you can also have green and white. It has a very natural look to it, and that's what I love about it. It reminds me of the woods when I'm a hiker and I love to hike in the woods. Anyway, the two that I showed you, one of them is oxidized, which makes the copper darker, and it also just slows down any kind of rusting process because this is raw copper. The one on the left is starting to darken. It's not oxidized. But if you like the sort of raw copper look versus the darker copper, you can also just take it and put it in some ketchup and use a toothbrush after about 5 minutes and just kind of scrub it down, and it should regain its luster. And you can also use a vinegar and baking soda paste, same thing with a toothbrush, but those are just different options when it comes to copper wire. I like to oxidize things to make depth in my pieces, and this, as you can see, hopefully, that the one on the right is darker and it gives it a lot more depth in the lines. So when you do something like a weave, it really brings out a lot of interest, where it's just sort of a singular color when it's the bright raw copper. So anyway, that's that explanation. Here are the pieces. This is the design on one that is facing toward the right and one that's facing toward the left. So it's just different. You can do it on any stone, actually. You can do it on a rectangle, you can do it on a teardrop, you can do it on a round, well, maybe not a round stone, but you can do it on different types of stones. I just happen to prefer Unakite because I like the comma shape, and they used to sell these at Michael's. They don't any longer, so they might be a little bit hard to come by, but if you can find something like this, it's a fun wrap to do. Let's get started. Okay, so I cut about 20 pieces of raw copper 20 gauge wire and about 4 or 5 inches. Did I say 20 pieces? I meant 20 inches. You have to excuse me. Okay, so this is about, stop moving. This is about 4 or 5 inches of 26 gauge raw copper wire that I keep on a nice little bobby's bobbin, because it really is easier to pull stuff off of that than the spool sometimes. So this is all the wire we're going to need today. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this wire through the side holes. And that's another thing I forgot to mention, is that these Unakite stones that I have are drilled, and they're side drilled. And that means you can stick your wire through a hole, which makes it a lot easier for beginners who have trouble trying to hold a slippery stone to get it connected with wires. This makes it just so much easier. So we're going to go about midway so that the wires, are basically ending up the same place. You don't have to be exact, but close as you can be. And then we're going to press these wires with our fingers towards the top of the stone. Then we will need a pair of tweezer nose pliers. We're also going to use a pair of flush cutters, and these are bail making pliers. And if you need to straighten your wire once you cut it, you might want to get a pair of wire straighteners, but you can also straighten with your fingers. It's just sometimes it's more effective with these. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to take your tweezer nose pliers and you're going to bend this sort of in at the top, and then do it exactly at the same place, if possible, with the other side, till it looks kind of like that. Then you will take your bail making pliers, and these are 6-step bail making pliers. I like to use about the 3rd step. The point of the steps is you want to make your bail whatever size you want, but for me, I like the 3rd step because it's not too big, but it also is big enough so that if somebody makes their bail, that size and they want to switch out the cord or the chain that they are using for something else, it's very easy when it's large enough for it to pass through. So once you've done that, and these are toward the back, okay, that's how it looks there. Then you're going to take your tweezer nose pliers and you're just going to bend the back wires in right around the top, towards the top. Okay. And you can do that also with the front a little bit. And the reason for that is that you don't want to have a big gap when you're wrapping your bail. So your bail now is going to look a bit like a Q-tip. Okay, now we're going to take the small wire and you're going to take about an inch or so, and then that part, the short part, you're going to wrap toward the top of the bail and use your pliers if you need to. And just go around 2 or 3 times. That's about all you're going to have room for. And then when you get to a point where you can't go another wrap, pull it through the bail tightly. And then you're going to cut right inside because you don't want anything sticking out that could be sharp. Let's see. Once you've done that, this wire will easily pull tightly, and you just want to wrap that around several times toward the tip of the stone. When you get to right about the tip of the stone, that looks a little bit messed up there. You get right about to the tip of the stone, then you can stop, and then you would stick your wire underneath the back wires because we would just want this wire to be secure, and pull that through with your tweezer nose pliers. Do it 2 or 3 times and just make sure that's nice and tight and secure so your bail doesn't come unraveling. And excuse my word salad, I'm getting older. Okay, all right, so there you go. And you just want your wires to be nice and lined up. Then you will, once you've got that connected, just do the same thing. Take your flush cutters and try to cut, if you can see what you're doing. Try to cut right there. And if anything's sticking up, you can cut a little bit more off, but watch where your little wire bits are going if you're not holding on to them, because you don't want anything going into your pet's food dish or anything like that. So this is what this looks like now. And as you can see, because of the shape of the wire, this stone, the wires kind of go off the side edge there. That's okay. We don't have to worry about that. So you're going to turn your stone upside down, put your thumb about 1/4 of the way down, and then you're going to separate your wires, making sure that at the top they're not crisscrossing. Separate your wires and bring them up to your thumb there. Okay. Then you're going to take both wires and bend them tightly toward the front. And the one coming from what I call the back of the comma should be underneath. And the one coming from, and also when you do this, when you turn it around, hold on to those wires in the back with your index finger so that they can't come apart as you do this. So you're going to make sure these are nice and tight. Okay, like that. Then you're going to, right about the center of the stone, they're going to crisscross here, and you're going to bend them around each other, making sure they're tight against the stone before you start bending. Okay, and then push that down, make sure, because it should be flat against the stone, not standing up. You'll do this like twice. Bring it around tight, and then maybe one more here. That goes around, and so they're going to, these, one wire is going to be facing toward the inside, one will be facing toward the outside. The one toward the inside, bend it around the stone to the back. The one toward the outside, bend it down first to make sort of a crisscross, and then around to the back. And then you will see that these wires will cross again, and you want to have them cross again, sort of in the middle of the stone. put your thumb on there as you bend the wires so that they will not go flipping all over the place. And just do this like twice again too. And once you've done that, actually I probably went too far. Okay, once you've gotten them around a couple of times, make sure they're not crossed over, that they're straight. And they don't have to be super straight looking in the back because it's the back, but make sure they're just lined up and they're not crisscrossing each other, okay? Then you're going to take that to about halfway between where this wire is and the end of the stone, and you're going to bend it over the stone again and bend it tightly, and then put your thumb about a third of the way across the stone. Hold it down tight on the wires, pulling your wires against the stone first. Then you're going to take your wires and you're going to slowly bend them back toward your thumb, and then reposition your thumb so it's holding down the center of this, which will become a U. And then you will bend them, holding again with your thumb, you will bend them over the stone all the way across the back and over to the front again, making sure they are not crisscrossed. Okay. Once you do that, you're going to take your fingers and just kind of warm up your wires so they're a little bit easier to move. And you're going to bend them gently toward the U and underneath the U. I'd press them together so that they both go under. Once you get them far enough in, you can take the end of your wires and pull them with the tweezer nose pliers. And you want to press on this and just kind of pull this as tight as you can. And then you're going to bend your wires up while still holding all the wires tightly, and down. And once you do that, they go back to the back. And we're almost done here. So once they go back to the back, they're going to cross over these wires that they're part of, but you don't want to connect them here because it'll be too easy for that part to slide off the stone. So you want to go to the wires here. For beginners, I would say cut yourself, I cut about 20 inches, maybe cut yourself 22 inches just to be safe. Whenever you're new to this, it's always better to cut more wire than less, because you don't want to end up with your piece being nearly finished and then find out that you don't have enough wire. So I would cut off some of this because you really just want enough to tuck this under. Leaves about, I don't know, quarter to half an inch there. Then you're going to take your tweezer nose once again, and you're going to, one at a time, bend these gently at the end till they're curling under, and push them under those two upper wires. You can also take your pliers underneath and push it. And I actually want to go on the other side of this, so I'm going to just kind of bend that. And then get it through. I can do this, it's just going to take a second. But if it's longer, when it goes through, you'll have more to grab, and that'll make it a little bit easier. So anyway, so I got it up, and once you get it up, you want to try to bend it over as much as you can to the point where it is not sticking out and won't hurt anybody because it's sharp. So that's underneath there, so it's fine. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this side. Bend it under and bend it through. So sometimes you need to readjust where you are with the stone to make it easier for you to pull your wires up. So this one is enough to go over the stone a bit, and bend that down. Okay, and sometimes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull this through here because it is more than I thought. Okay, so I got that, and I'm going to go over and try and make sure it's far enough over that there's nothing that will stick out and hurt somebody. Again, that's important. Okay, as long as you don't feel anything sharp, this is the completed back part. Then you're going to go to the front and see how it looks. And if it's a little far down, like this is a little bit far down, you can take your fingernails and just, oops, that's too much. Just pull it up a little bit until it's about where you want it. Then you can do something fun, like create a little bit of a bend, just for more interest. Just make a little bit of a bend on both wires like that. Okay. Obviously, it's a little bit loose because it's slid up. So the way to tighten that, and you can see this big gap here. So the way to tighten that is go around to the back and grab that wire and make a bend in it, just like you just did with the front wire, because making a bend tightens everything up. And you can do that with this too. And then if you still see a gap, you can take your pliers and kind of press down on it. You may have a little bit of a gap because it's overlapping, but it's nothing to worry about. So there we go. And then the same with these. If these are loose at all, you can go in the back and you can, first I'd separate them and then just do a nice bend in the back. Okay. Which might bring these too close to each other. So you do want to just kind of push them a little bit farther away from each other. And there you have it. That's it. That's your piece. Although, wait. I want to check. This looks a little bit loose. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay. I might just take that one. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. Alrighty. Now you just have to have a cord, which I have. And in the previous video, I did show you how to make cord ends. So you just stick your cord through and see, because the bail is big enough, I can stick my cord end through, and there you go. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.